Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight from JP Nadda to Giriraj Singh and Shankar Katheria, there's controversy over those newly inducted in the Council of Ministers. The Congress says Mr. Modi is not serious about cleaning up politics. The BJP says that's rubbish. Did politics play a bigger role in the cabinet expansion that took place on Sunday? Also tonight, voting will now be compulsory in local body elections in Gujarat. Will this help to make democracy more participative, or is it simply unconstitutional? That's a little later in the program, but first our top story tonight. The big political story is the fallout of Sunday's cabinet reshuffle and the Congress's strong attack on the Prime Minister today, accusing him of inducting tainted ministers. Among those who've raised eyebrows is the new Health Minister JP Nadda, who's been in the headlines for his battle to remove a vigilance officer probing corruption at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Another new face in the Council of Ministers is Shankar Katheria, who has 21 cases against him, including serious allegations such as attempt to murder. However, the BJP's Arun Jaitley led the party's defence today, calling the charges completely baseless.
जो प्रधानमंत्री स्वच्छ भारत की बात तो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन स्वच्छ राजनीति की बात नहीं कर रहे.
The entire charge of the Congress party is baseless.
ये वायस चौधरी वो हैं जिन्होंने कल मंत्रिमंडल के अंदर नरेंद्र मोदी जी के द्वारा ओथ लिया. तो क्या आपने इनके नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स को से बचाने के लिए इनको मंत्री बनाया?
कंपनी घाटे में थी, उन्होंने अकाउंट की रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग के लिए अप्लाई किया, रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग उनको मिल गई और रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग के बाद सारी पेमेंट्स कर रहे हैं.
वी हैड डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन हु वाज अ डॉक्टर. As a health minister, he was replaced by an advocate, JP Nadda. It means that Narendra Modi or the government, they themselves have admitted a failure in the health ministry.
Who has said that he wrote a letter for a wrong cause? How can public issues be a conflict of interest?
एक ऐसे मंत्री हैं जिनके एफिडेविट के अंदर 23 केसेस.
डॉक्टर कथीरिया पे क्रिमिनल केस है. उत्तर प्रदेश के हर बीजेपी कार्यकर्ता के ऊपर अखिलेश यादव की सरकार ने फर्जी केस बनाए.
उनके घर एक चोरी जब हुई थी, उन्होंने कहा कि 50-60 हजार की चोरी हुई, लेकिन जब माल निकला तो 1.25 करोड़ का सामान उनके जब्त हुआ, जो कि चोरी उनके घर से हुई.
श्री गिरिराज सिंह के खिलाफ तो जिस घटना का जिक्र किया, अभी तक कोई केस नहीं है, कोई जांच नहीं है.
Well, that's really turned out to be the big argument today, not just politically, but there has been plenty of debate online as well about whether someone like Mr. Nadda, for instance, was the right choice for the health ministry given all the controversy. Our commentators tonight, Tavleen Singh and Kumar Ketkar, who joins us from Mumbai, will be joined by a political panel shortly. Tavleen Singh, to you first. What do you make of, first Mr. Nadda's? Let's just talk about him, his selection as health minister. Did it come as a bit of a surprise?
I'm not among those who thinks that Harshvardhan was doing great things in healthcare. I don't think there's been a single new initiative in healthcare. It's a very important ministry. Our biggest failures, the biggest failures of Nehruvian socialism are healthcare and education. So, I don't know whether he'll be that badly missed. And as for the case in the, medical institute, I really don't know whether, he had reason for it or not. So I can't comment on that. But, anyone can do better than Mr. Harshvardhan has done. I didn't think he did very well.
But Mr. Nadda, there is, a letter that he wrote to Harshvardhan clearly stating that he wanted this vigilance officer removed, recommending a substitute in his place, written in June of this year. It's, been very widely reported. So there are questions that were raised about propriety in particular in this matter. So given the controversy, the fact that this case has made such headlines, was he then the best person for the job? Forget Harshvardhan for a moment. Could somebody else have been health minister?
Well, I'm for a start, all our politicians in any political party have cases against them, nearly all of them. And, I don't know whether how many of them are true, because in fact, one of the ways to taint somebody is to put a case against them. I don't know enough about Mr. Nadda's qualifications, but to get a vigilance officer removed, maybe he had reason. I don't know.
Mr. Ketkar, Tavleen Singh seems to be in a sense saying that all political parties are in the same boat, and my question therefore would be then where do we draw the lines of propriety and morality in politics, or should we just not draw them at all?
Well, this was not the argument that the BJP was making when the Congress ministers were being attacked for the alleged corruption which were never proved. BJP was saying it's a question of propriety, it's a question of perception, it's a question of morality. Everybody from Chidambaram to Sushil Kumar Shinde were attacked for the alleged corruption or other crimes. At that time and after during the campaign, Narendra Modi said, all that corruption Raj will now go, and anybody complaining to me about crime or corruption against my ministers, against my government, or even against my MPs, I will take action if they are proved right. Now they can say that if they are proved right is the same argument Congress was giving, that none of the charges have been proved against Chidambaram, none of the charges were proved against Shinde, none of the charges were proved against most of the other ministers, but the almost 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, Parliament was stopped from functioning by the BJP because they were accusing them of all kinds of crimes. So I don't understand why there are these double standards. When you are in power, you defend, according to Association of Democratic Rights, 20% of the ministers have declared, they have themselves declared in affidavit, criminal cases against themselves.
Actually 31%. If you look at the entire Council of Ministers, as per their statistics.
Entire thing is 31%.
Yeah, 31%.
You are right. Out of total 64 ministers. Yeah, 31%, but 20 ministers. You are right. 64 ministers in all, out of whom 20 ministers, and that is 31% of the ministers, and this is on their own statements.
So Kumar Ketkar is saying that then there's a case of double speak here.
There probably is. I'm not defending the BJP or anything like that. I just don't know enough about the cases. But what I do know is that if you go out in the street and protest, you can have a case against you. So how serious is there a case of murder against Mr. Nadda? Is there a case of murder against any of the ministers?
Is that all that it takes? I mean, I have the letter here that Mr. Nadda wrote to Harshvardhan where he's asking for this vigilance officer to be removed. He's actually recommending another name. But who is he to recommend another name? This is a very serious case. I mean, it's really about corruption and impropriety. So, I mean, are we only going to make murder the sort of benchmark?
What was his grounds for wanting him removed?
Whatever his grounds were, it's not his business to interfere with that appointment.
He's in the BJP as a senior general secretary, so he has a right to make a recommendation.
He has a right to make a recommendation.
Of course.
And then the health minister removes him. He's a very senior BJP secretary.
The health minister is the one that you should be taking on rather
No, but my point is, what's the benchmark? Will it only be murder cases then?
No, the point is that if there are serious cases of rape and murder, these guys should not even be given a ticket. That I'm very clear about in any political party. But if there are frivolous cases, you have a reason to say, to say 31% of the ministers are tainted. I'm really astonished to hear that. What are the cases against them?
Okay, well, that's a very controversial argument. Randeep Singh Surjewala, I'll take that to you.
Criminal cases.
Yeah, though they are criminal cases, but she's saying rape and murder is where she would draw the line.
I'm saying rape, murder, theft. But if it's
demonstration, not the only crime.
If they're protesting,
no, but then as Kumar Ketkar says, every Congress leader will turn around and say, what was the evidence against XYZ?
Of rape and
technically,
murder?
Against who? Even A. Raja. No, what is it? I mean, he's not been convicted yet, right?
It's not convicted, but the charges were serious.
Of course, the charge, but these are not serious.
These are corruption.
You have the minister from Agra who is accused of attempt to murder. There's technically a case against him. The point is, then where do you draw the line? How are we going to clean up the system?
Well, if there is a charge of attempt to murder, he shouldn't have been taken in. That I'm quite clear about. If there's a charge of attempt to rape, attempt to murder, attempt to steal, corruption.
From Rajasthan.
1 minute, Kumar Ketkar. If there is attempt to murder, attempt to rape, for sure those are serious cases. What I'm saying is when you say 31% of the ministers are tainted, I'm really surprised to hear that.
This is what the Association for Democratic Reforms and the National Election Watch has put together as data, that 31% of ministers in the Union Council of Ministers today have criminal cases against them, and these are cases that they have declared in their affidavits.
Yeah, but what are the cases, Nidhi? It could be just, I was protesting in the street and there was a criminal case against me.
Okay, I'll take that to Randeep Singh Surjewala. Randeep Singh Surjewala, the fact is that all political parties, when they are confronted with this issue, often cite political conspiracy as the reason for cases against those of their party. Now, the Congress used to do it. The BJP is using the same argument today. It's deja vu all over again.
Nidhi, the issue is extremely simple. An issue is this. Mr. Modi came to power promising clean government and clean politics. There are 31% ministers in his own cabinet, ministers that he chose himself very carefully, as Mr. Jaitley puts, who have criminal cases. I can understand somebody can have a case in a political agitation, but as Mr. Ketkar pointed out, and I want to point out to Tavleenji as also to your viewers, there is a difference between a political agitation case and a criminal case. Here is a case where, if you believe the ADR data to be correct, 31% of the ministers of Mr. Modi have criminal cases, and she also spoke about murder, rape. What about Nihal Chand? He is a minister from Rajasthan. He was accused of rape. He is still accused of rape, is facing trial. Why does Mr. Modi not throw him out? Why is it happening that when same Sanjeev Chaturvedi, government of Haryana confronts him, government of Haryana becomes tainted and he becomes the best officer. Mr. Jaitley comes forward to defend him. BJP spokespersons come forward to defend him. When Mr. Nadda wants him removed and Mr. Harshvardhan removes him, then Mr. Chaturvedi becomes a tainted officer. What kind of double standards, madam, are we speaking about? If Mr. Chaturvedi was wrong, then he is wrong now. If he was right, then he is right now.
I already said
it is the BJP and Mr. Jaitley who are defending Mr. Chaturvedi, as also Mr. Khemka, as two officers who were persecuted by the then Haryana government.
But then the point
and
is
that
Mr.
Chaturvedi who has now been removed at the instance of Mr. Nadda, and he has been made health minister.
But the point is, Tavleen, you could have chosen someone else to be health minister.
Mr. Gowda is another identical case.
In terms of perception, in this whole battle of perception that this would be a government that would be different, from the UPA certainly. I mean, the guy who was at the center of this entire row with Harshvardhan is now the health minister.
I really...
Choose someone else.
What was the row? What was the whole thing? That he wanted an officer changed?
A vigilance officer,
A vigilance officer changed? Or what was the grounds he gave? I don't know.
Well, here, you can read his letter. It's a detailed letter. It's 3 pages. He talks about procedural irregularities and improprieties in the designation of Sanjeev Chaturvedi. He had taken up the matter earlier as well with Ghulam Nabi Azad, who didn't do anything about it. He recommends a replacement for him. And later on, that's exactly, this is the letter. You're welcome to go through it. The point is, there has been a row. He's been in the headlines.
Shouldn't we be talking about why Mr. Harshvardhan removed him?
Of course, but Mr. Nadda is also in the midst of that row. Should he have been appointed?
Well, if I were the Prime Minister, I would not have. Okay, but the fact is that the Prime Minister, if 31% of his ministers are corrupt in the perception of the general public, not the Congress Party or Kumar Ketkar, who sounds like a spokesman for the Congress Party, but if Mr. Modi is making such a big mistake, then it's just weeks before the public will reject him.
Then let me ask Shaina NC of the BJP who joins us from Mumbai.
Only one.
Yes, Mr.
Only
Ketkar,
one
yes.
sentence.
Yeah.
Only one point. Anybody who opposes BJP is not necessarily supportive of the so-called Nehru-Gandhi dynasty or Congress. Because when you have a president of the party, BJP, who himself has criminal charges against him and cases are pending,
That's what I'm saying. The Prime Minister does too. I mean, we can just sort of
Prime
remove them all.
Unfortunately,
he got elected, right? Bad luck for you.
Amit Shah was appointed with direct
influence. You can start with Amit
Modi.
Shah, Nidhi. Why should Amit Shah be president of the Bharatiya Janata Party? Maybe we should just get rid of the whole lot of them.
No, so then...
But you know, the fact of the matter is that suddenly these are people, the Nihal Chand or whatever his name is, has been a minister for the past 6 months. So suddenly now in the people that were inducted yesterday, we discovered that nearly half of them are corrupt. And if that is true, and if they are criminals, then it won't take long before the Congress Party is back in, in the seat, because people don't want corrupt ministers.
No, but the point is, Shaina NC, if you look at the data that we were arguing about before you came here, the ADR and the National Election Watch pointing out that 31% of the Union Council of Ministers have criminal cases that they have declared against themselves. For a government, as Kumar Ketkar points out, that has stressed that it would be different from the UPA, how do you respond to that, to that criticism today?
Well, 31% of the Union Council of Ministers have criminal cases that they have declared against themselves. For a government, as Kumar Ketkar points out, that has stressed that it would be different from the UPA, how do you respond to that, to that criticism today?
Nidhi, I want to ask you a counter question. Who decides on every allegation that if that allegation is factually true or not? Do you know the amount of criminal cases against Devendra Fadnavis, our Chief Minister of Maharashtra, despite the fact that he has the best reputation, is extremely credible, sincere, honest, etc.? Everyone who is in public life, therefore every allegation there is a counter allegation. If one is campaigning in a situation where there is a communal case which triggers, does that make the member of parliament or that minister criminal? Does it make somebody a criminal if he or she is agitating against the government and is booked by the police and arrested? Does that make somebody a criminal? I think this is all, how we view it. And please understand that gross cases of criminality, whether it's rape, murder, misappropriation of wealth, etc., is all not going to be tolerated by Narendra Modi. But
Mr. Ram Shankar Katheria, who is a new minister, China, has 21 criminal cases against him. Ram Shankar Katheria has 21 criminal cases against him, including the following: criminal intimidation, cheating, forgery, attempt to murder, and promoting enmity between different groups on the grounds of religion and writing. These are among the most serious charges and the cases that he faces against him. He's a minister.
Or for that matter, Giriraj Singh.
But Nidhi, let these charges be proved. Who are you and me to sit here and say that, this was genuinely a case of attempt to murder, or whether it was politically motivated? Has everyone had the credibility of each minister checked? We can sit on high horses and in glass houses and constantly allege that this is...
No, but then that same argument will be used by the Congress party or other political parties to say, well, it's just a case, let it be proved in court. Then, we're all going around in circles. Kumar Ketkar.
Whether it is Chidambaram or Sushil Kumar Shinde or many other ministers who were actually in parliament on the floor were accused of chore and all that, including Dr. Manmohan Singh at one point in time of Colgate. And where was the charge? Where was the allegation? Where was the case filed? And yet at that time the argument was, and of all the persons, Arun Jaitley had made the argument, ultimately in politics propriety matters, morality matters, perception matters, and therefore on these grounds these ministers should resign.